How to spark emotion within a woman while you're in conversation. I have coached over 1,000 men since 2019, and one of the biggest flaws I see with men is their vibe and their enthusiasm and their ability to conversate. Their ability to, using their communication, be able to provoke an emotional response from the other person that they're talking to. Now, primarily, this is the most effective with women, but I could argue that every single person on this planet, the power of your communication, the level of your influence from your communication is directly proportionate to how successful you'll be in life. So the skills that I'm about to explain in this video are not just directly correlated to women, but I would argue that if you're not a really powerful communicator, you just are not living up to your potential in life, because these skills are utilized in so many different ways. Now, I also want to start this video off by saying I was a very, very weak communicator. I had very low levels of social confidence. I could not go up and start a conversation with someone I didn't know. I could not create emotion within the other person. I couldn't spark attraction within women, and I also wasn't comfortable communicating on camera. So everything I'm talking about in this video was learned skill sets that I had to put in the work and learn the hard way. And then I use it to transform my dating life, but I then use it to create businesses and influence and coach people as well. So I'm not gonna go into a crazy backstory of my own transformation in this video, but there is a link down below where I go over my whole 10-year transformation from 25 to 35 years old right now, as well as all the clients I've helped and more details of my coaching program. So if you're interested in potentially working with me, you gotta check out that in-depth video down below. Let's talk about how to utilize properly your communication skills to provoke emotion within the woman or whoever you're talking to. Now, in my opinion, the foundational piece of theory around this concept that you need to understand is that your energy level, right? Your enthusiasm, your energy level, when you're communicating with somebody, that is directly proportionate to the amount of emotion you could create within the other person. So, example, if my energy is extremely low in an interaction, I cannot, unless I'm gonna create a negative impact, I'm talking about positive emotional responses, right? If my energy level is very low, the emotional response that I will be able to create within the other person is only going to be a fraction of whatever energy I can put out there, okay? So if my emotion is higher, well, then I can create a greater emotional response from the other person. If I were to dim down all of my energy in this video, I cannot create as big of an emotional response within the viewer, because now all of my emotion is very suppressed. You see, there's no energy in my voice, there's no dynamic movement, there's no energy in my body. I'm trying not to move anything, but I still move my hands a little bit. But if I completely just close off, there's no more energy, and as a result, there's no emotional response within the other person. If you ever heard something that's extremely motivating or extremely inspiring, anything like that, man, even extremely funny, like a comedian is not going to be able to deliver his jokes if he's just kind of talking kind of like this, right? Like a comedian is it's all in the delivery, right? And there is dry humor, which is outside the scope of what I'm talking about in this video. And there's also negative emotion. So I could be very blunt and say, just curse somebody out or say a really mean thing to that person. And the impact of the wording itself will create a negative response. But what I'm talking about in this video is creating emotions. And really it's sparking attraction within a woman. And so the way that you're going to do that is understanding that your energy and really your enthusiasm in your communication is the primary driving factor of what level of emotion and energy is going to be provoked within the woman, okay? So understanding this, you really need to put in time practicing your conversation. That means the way you pronunciate words, that means the volume that you talk at, that means the animation and expression. If there are low levels of energy in any one of these things, or not even necessarily low energy, if it's uncomfortable, right? Like I had to learn how to gesticulate my hands. I had to learn how to use my face and raise my voice at certain times when I was conversating. And at first it was very forced. It was outside of my comfort zone when it came to communication. But I knew that it sucked, so I had to put more attention into it. So I started practicing. So I started filming myself. I started watching myself talking on camera. I started practicing alone, talking more enthusiastically, talking with more energy, talking with more emotion, utilizing every piece of my communication that I could to create more energy, right? And as a result, create more emotion. Now, it takes time, and you won't realize it at first, because whatever your baseline communication is right now, you can only stretch it so far, similar to any other muscle. Like, regardless of where you're at right now with your bicep muscle, you can only force so much, you can only put so much tension under the muscle. And you can get it bigger for the day. You'll blow it up, it'll get pumped, and then it'll go back down. But as you do that consistently, the baseline will start to grow more and more and more. So this is going to be these are muscles that you need to build through consistently working them out. You don't just sit home all day and watch YouTube videos and then suddenly the muscle has been broken down. I can't watch a YouTube video on working out and then my muscle gets broken down. I watch the video that teaches me the technique, and then the technique, aka the exercise, is what works out the muscle. And when that's done consistently, the baseline starts to grow more and more and more, and then I can add more weight or intensity to the workout over time. So if you want to create more emotion within the woman, well, how are you communicating? Because most men, they speak so flat, they don't laugh, they don't have fun, they don't have movement to their voice, they don't know how to quiet down their voice if there's a more dramatic moment. They don't know how to get loud and excited. They don't know how to laugh and smile if they're teasing a woman. They don't know how to drop their voice down and have a little bit of a smirk and kind of lower their eyes and say things in a slightly more flirtatious way when they want to create more of a flirtatious energy within the woman. So whether it's teasing and having fun, whether it's just your baseline small talk that needs a certain level of enthusiasm, whether it's injecting more of a flirtatious energy into certain phrases, whether it's more of a serious point, right? Problem is, most of you guys, when you're trying to do the small talk or the teasing or the flirting, you still just use the serious talk. That's not the time to have a serious type of vibe, right? So understand that these energy levels, if they're low levels of energy, you can't create emotion. The emotion is always a fraction of the energy that you put out. So if I want to be able to create a really flirtatious vibe, I need to be able to practice that type of communication so much until I'm really confident with it and I can channel that energy. And then the woman will pick up on that. If it's teasing and having fun and cracking jokes, I need to be able to have so much fun with the teasing that I can put out a certain energy or emotion around the thing, and it will then create or evoke the emotions within the other person. It's transferred. Think about it that way. The energy and the emotion is transferred. So if I'm not transferring fucking shit, how is it going to be provoked in the other person? And so you guys spend all your time watching videos on these things, but you don't actually put in the work trying to strengthen your communication. This is how it's done. You need to practice this. Now, what I'm showing you on the camera right now is mainly a lecture type of a vibe. It's just enthusiastic conversation, but you still need to practice this stuff. Because if you can't comfortably use your hands in a conversation, well, there's a lot less emotion that's created when your hands are just down. So if my hands are just in my pockets and I'm talking, there's just not as much emotion. You could see that there's a different level of emotion that could be created if I utilize more energy. So my hands, my face, my voice, pauses in voice, me leaning in, me smiling at certain times, me saying certain words, all of these elements require energy. But when you can put in and exert more energy, you can create greater emotions within the other person. So look, studying lines is great because it's going to teach you how to say things in an interaction. And as a result that you could get into these situations more and more and more, so you could practice. But man, the vibe and the delivery around small talk, around teasing, around flirting, around connection building, around confidently being able to ask a woman out, like that is a huge part of this thing. And so earlier in the video, I was talking about how this is correlated to influence, correlated to networking, correlated to making friends, correlated to coaching and leading people. A strong leader who can coach men and influence other people, he needs to be able to speak with certainty, strength, He needs to be able to articulate his words in a way where the people can understand it and they feel uplifted and motivated by his energy and certainty and power that he's giving off. That's what a powerful leader or influencer can do. Maybe there's some videos of mine where I've told stories or I got really motivated because I had energy and enthusiasm around a certain concept and you felt that as the viewer. It's not gonna be, I say words, but my delivery, my energy is low, and then you feel motivated. That's not how it works. You put out a certain energy, the other person an energy will be transferred to them that's a fraction of the energy that you put out. That's how it works. And most of you guys, just to simply put it, you're not putting out enough energy. You don't have enough emotion around it. And people in life, by the way, they go where the energy goes. If you could just think about this, you could pick a character in life and he's gonna go after a certain thing with a level 35 energy versus a man who's got a level 85 energy. Which guy are you going with, right? Obviously the 85, because energy leads to everything. Like that's where the motivation comes from. That's how life is created, okay? Well, Kyle, what do I do if I don't have energy? It is a skill set, it is a muscle. You can build the stamina, you can build your communication, you could build these things. I didn't have them, I had to work at them. And the easiest way is to start practicing your communication on camera daily, but more so pushing the comfort zone out. Now that's one thing you can do. There is a lot of other elements around having flavorful, engaging conversation, being able to tease, being able to flirt and spark attraction using all of these different elements. When they're all done properly, you can create a really, really powerful result. Okay, if you want help with this process, if you want help with your communication, if you need somebody to coach you and push you while you're live out in the field, if you want somebody to break down your interactions, your conversation structure, help you land more dates, become more socially confident, that's what I teach, man. That's what I've spent the last decade building an expertise around, and I would love to help you as well, okay? Click the link down below. There's an in-depth video where I lay out my whole transformation, the clients, and my program. So if you're serious about making a change, click the link down below, watch that video. You got nothing to lose. That's all for this one, guys, but be aware. Pay attention to the way that you're communicating with people in your day-to-day and the energy that you are bringing into your interactions, because that is fucking everything, man. I'll see you in the next video.